Oh Lily, it's your dad, and it is 9:15, and it is the 18th of the 2nd, 2026, and I'm reading a different book today. I'm going to start reading this one, and then I'm going to try and finish Mr. Squibb. We're going to read maybe, I think I might finish Mr. Squibb first, thinking about it, just so we can say we finished it. Just because it's a bit of a longer book to read as well, Mr. Squibb, so I can sit for a little bit longer and read. But then I want to start reading this one. Gratitude, self-awareness, accountability, optimism, empathy, kindness, tenacity, curiosity, patience, conviction, humility, ambition, kind candour. And that's the book we're going to read tomorrow. But we're going to finish Mr. Squibb because it needs finished. And Dad hasn't got much time to read to himself, so he thought he could just read out loud Mr. Squibb. I know it's not a child's book, but it's more to the point of you'll get to listen to my voice. And yeah. What is Your Dream by Simon Squibb. How the business is doing and the role they played in the success, anything short of giving them an actual share in that success is going to leave them feeling shortchanged. Whereas knowledge that they will be compensated through a share in the business itself, not just their salary and perks, both rewards for them, for what they have done, and provides an incentive for them to keep helping you build a business. Remember, ownership conveys freedom. You wanted it for yourself, and you are not a good boss if you try to deny the people that you hired to grow your business. That does not mean you have to give everyone a 5% stake of the company in their welcome pack. The way you deliver this will differ according to your circumstances. There are various approaches from direct equity ownership to handing out a share options that give people the right to buy shares at a certain price after a certain time. Some companies might prefer a profit sharing arrangement to one that concerns equity ownership, and you might only want to give equity to people who have stuck with you for a certain amount of time. But however you manage it, you need to find a way of sharing the actual proceeds and value of the business with the people who create it. You need to talk openly about it and show people what the path to ownership is. If they don't already have it, and you need to kill the idea that sharing out equity is a tantamount. You need to kill the idea of equity is tantamount to giving up control and ownership of your business. I often hear people saying that to do this is some huge risk. What if people leave and walk away with a slice of your company? To which my immediate answer is, of course, people will sometimes leave. And in my experience, if you have had hired well, then you can always come to a reasonable agreement about buying back their equity, if that is the right solution. More generally, you have to ask yourself, what is the bigger risk? Losing some ownership over the company, or having your best asset, your people, walk out of the door because they don't feel valued? Do you want to own 100% of a company that's struggling because of high staff turnover, or 51% of one that is thriving because its best people are fully committed to the job and working every day to try and grow the business? The answer should be obvious, underlying that a few things matter more in business than finding the right people and doing whatever it takes to keep them working with you. How to fire people, or why 7 plus 8 equals trouble. What the hell's happened to this? I don't know if it's still recording. If you hire well enough, you'll never have to fire anyone. I wish that statement were true, but it's not. However experienced you are at recruiting people, and however rigorous your process may be, the fact is that if you hire enough people, at least a few of them will not work out. It might not be their fault or yours. This could be the wrong job, the wrong time, the wrong place, but the fact remains that they are failed hire, and you need to do something about it. Firing people is a necessary skill as a business owner, and you need to learn how to do it. Anyone who says otherwise is being hopelessly naive. This isn't just for your benefit and that of the business. Long experience has taught me that many people who are underperforming in their job are secretly looking for a way out of it. They either can't do it, can't, or don't want to do the job. Don't laugh when I say that you are doing this person a favour by terminating them. Enough people have thanked me later for firing them because it was a spur that they needed to find success and fulfilment elsewhere. In some cases, I was able to help that person find another role that suited them better. A potentially unhappy situation turns into a win-win. You can only manage that if you take a clear-headed view towards your people. You need to know exactly where people stand and to be honest with them and yourself. A lot of business owners don't do this. They hope that the problem of underperforming staff member will go away without the need for interventions and awkward conversations. They try to rationalise the situation and pretend that the person is not really doing so badly. They pray for a miracle and they are always disappointed because they end up having to get involved much later in the process when the problem has become more entrenched. This arises from what I call the rule of 7 and 8 in your business. It shouldn't be hard to know where most people rank on their basic scale of 1 to 10. Anyone at or below a 6 is obviously struggling. It isn't a tough decision to move them on, provided you have taken all the necessary legal steps. They know, and you know, that isn't working. Then you have the 9s and 10s, your star performers who will make the business what it is and excel at almost any challenge you throw at them. With these people, your biggest fear is that they may choose to leave, hence the need to give them equity, look after them, and reward their contribution. Where it gets complicated is with people who rank at either 7 or 8 out of 10, the people who fall right in between the high and low performers. They might be a 9 on a good day and a 4 on a bad one. They are people who can do the job but can't necessarily be relied upon, who might follow instructions but have no willingness to take initiative, who are often steady but show little sign of wanting or trying to improve. It is in managing 7s and 8s that so many business owners get it wrong. Sometimes they think they can help these people to become a consistent 9, or they reason that it's too big a risk to fire someone who's not terrible at their job, because what if you can't replace them? The upshot is many good businesses suffer because they hold on to people who aren't quite good enough to be there. This is why you need to know the rule of 7 and 8. If you keep these people, then the 9s and 10s will leave. When you accept and endorse people who are not performing at the highest standard, the best employees on your team will think that you do not fully value their contribution. They will see people they know are not as good as them getting equivalent rewards, and they will decide to go somewhere that takes them more seriously. By avoiding what felt like a tough decision, firing a 7 out of 10 person, you have created a much worse situation in which you lost a couple of 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10 people. That is the risk you cannot afford. So you have to do the difficult thing and terminate the person you were wavering about. If you are still not sure, then ask yourself how often this person is coming up in conversations around the business with other employees and clients. If you are hearing the name more than a few times a week, it's not to praise their work, then that is a sign that you have a problem. People who don't quite fit have a habit of dominating conversations in HR and management meetings. These are the cases where you need to make the honest assessment and often deliver bad news. It's worth saying that occasionally the problem is not the person but the role. A few times I have moved someone in the 7 and 8 camp to another department or position, seen them transform into a 9 or 10, but the norm is that someone who starts as a 7 in your business is going to stay there the longer you hold off making the decision to fire them. The harder it will be for all concerned. No one likes being fired or having to fire people, but there are times when it simply cannot be avoided, as difficult as it may be for the person who is being asked to leave. It is the right thing for the business as a whole, and often it will be the right thing for that person. As disappointed and upset as they may be for whatever combination of reasons, this role wasn't working out for them. They were struggling to make sales, build client relationships, or deliver work at the standard you expected. This is not the right environment for them to thrive. That is a stressful situation for anyone to be in, and that you need to have empathy with how they feel and the reasons they may be failing. But unless there is a very clear path to rectifying those issues, then you have to act. Once you are having the dreaded conversation, be both as clear and compassionate as possible. The news will probably not be a surprise since the person has very likely been warned already about their performance and possibly placed on an improvement plan. But it will still come as a shock. Make it clear that the decision has been taken and cannot be reversed. But also ask what you can do to help. Offer to stay in touch to put them in contact with potential employees and help them with their job search. Once the conversation is over, make arrangements for them to leave as quickly as possible. Tell the rest of your team what has happened and give them the chance to ask questions. None of this is pleasant for anyone involved. In the end, people mostly get fired because of a mistaken decision to recruit in the first place. In retrospect, it is easy to see that you hired the wrong person. They took the wrong job, and it always destined to end like this. Unwinding these mistakes is still difficult, but it cannot be avoided, and it is far less painful if you act quickly and decisively as soon as you have the necessary information and have taken the required steps. People often don't talk about firing because we tend to avoid difficult subjects. It's a lot more palatable to share your method for hiring people and making their dreams come true than how you go about getting rid of the people who are holding your business back. But these are two halves of the same coin. Hire enough people and you will end up firing some of them. If you accept and learn how to do it properly, then you will save a lot of agony for yourself, your business, and even the people you decide to let go. How to build a community is the next chapter after we've just finished Find Brilliant People. And the next chapter is how to build a community. And I think that's where we'll stop it, because it's getting late and I need to get some rest. Oh, your dad's very tired, unfortunately, but I think it's just that time of the year. He's very worn out, he's very cold, and he's looking a bit rough, as I've just looked on the camera there. What's that? Storm polio to bring snow and more heavy rain to the UK. 5 days of rain coming starting Friday. That sounds interesting. Your dad loves you lots, and he hopes you both are doing well. He loves you both. And he'll, yeah, that was What's Your Dream by Simon Squibb. And we'll see you tomorrow for another book. And tomorrow, I don't know, I feel like we should complete Mr. Squibb, but we'll see what happens. But I'd like to start reading this book as well. And we'll start, what we'll do is we'll read a chapter of these books, and then I'll read a kid's book. So, yeah, I hope you're sleeping well and soundly, and we'll see you soon.